And welcome to Hannity Tonight. It is becoming increasingly difficult to deny that the Obama presidency is very much in peril. And this week in particular has been a difficult one for an administration that infamously coined the phrase leading from behind. Now, make no mistake, during the first 102 days of his second term, the president has lived up to that motto. From legislative defeats to failed political stunts, these very high-profile missteps have made an already unpopular president even more polarizing. And on Tuesday, ABC News correspondent Jonathan Carl asked the president if he thinks that he can shake the case of second-term blues. Take a look.
Mr. President, you are 100 days into your second term. On the gun bill, you put, it seems, everything into it to try to get it passed. Obviously, it didn't. Congress has ignored your efforts to try to get them to undo these sequester cuts. There was even a bill that you threatened to veto that got 92 Democrats in the House voting yes. So my question to you is, do you still have the juice to get the rest of your agenda through this Congress?
Well, if you put it that way, Jonathan, maybe I should just pack up and go home. Golly. I think it's a little, as Mark Twain said, rumors of my demise may be a little exaggerated at this point.
All right, for somebody as arrogant as Obama, it's difficult to consider the possibility that his magic may be fading. Now, unfortunately, if you take a closer look at the events that have transpired over the last 3 months, the age of Obama mania appears to be coming to an abrupt end. Now, let's take a look at it step by step. Now, first, he kicked off the year by failing to avoid the sequestration. Now he's working behind the scenes to make sure that each and every American is impacted by the budget cuts. There's only one minor problem with that strategy. Sequestration was, of course, his idea in the first place. Now, simply put, if you're looking for somebody to blame for the White House tours being canceled, well, call Obama. And if you want to know who's responsible for all those airport delays across the country last week, call Obama. Now, meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, two of the president's top legislative priorities, they're now on life support. Now, first and foremost, his tireless attempt to limit the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding Americans. It failed, and it failed miserably. And secondly, he's been completely incapable of making any sort of progress on immigration reform. And, of course, his budget is dead on arrival. So much for this promise.
They need us to enact comprehensive immigration reform once and for all. They need not, we can't wait 20 years from now to do it. We can't wait 10 years from now to do it. We need to do it by the end of my first term as president of the United States of America.
But he missed that deadline. Maybe if he spends a little less time on vacation, a little less time on the golf course over the next 3 years, maybe he could actually accomplish something. However, keep in mind that even when the president is able to implement a piece of his radical agenda, it doesn't always work out the way he planned. Take, for example, Obamacare. Now, the liberal law that is now has Democrats calling it a, quote, train wreck. Even Harry Reid uttered the agreement in that statement. So as you can see, from sequestration, gun control, immigration, global warming, Obamacare, it's been a very tough year so far for the president. But hey, at least he picked Louisville to go to the Final Four. Joining me now with reaction, former New Hampshire governor, our good friend John Sununu, former New Mexico governor Bill Richardson. You know, by any objective measure, Governor Sununu, well, run through the global warming, his budget DOA, gun control. Nobody wants him involved in the immigration legislation. Nothing. He can't get anything accomplished. Why?
But, Sean, that's exactly the same as last term, except he got Obamacare, he got the stimulus money, he got nothing else. He does not know how to lead. But what he had last term was he constantly blamed Bush. Now he can't do that. Now that he can't do that, even the liberal press has to see that the emperor has no clothes. This is a man with no experience, and the lack of experience is hurting America today. He doesn't know that you do more than say, I want a bill called gun control, and that somehow it comes magically. He's got to work. He's work averse.
Yeah, you know, look at, for example, Obamacare, Governor Richardson. You have this race going on in South Carolina, and you have Stephen Colbert's sister's in the race. She's running as far from what Max Baucus, a Democrat, calls a train wreck. Now, when people finally see, Harry Reid reiterated Max Baucus's comments. We'll play him later in the show today. What agenda item is he getting through? Why won't Democrats even support his budget? Why won't they support him on gun control?
Well, let me take each of the issues you discussed, Sean. Obamacare. more and more Republican governors are accepting the Medicaid provisions. That's number one. That is moving in the right direction. Secondly, on sequestration. Look, there was an agreement on the flight controllers on some of the budget cuts. It was temporary, but I think the president in his press conference laid out an agenda that might lead to more compromise. On the gun issue, extremely divisive. I'm a Second Amendment supporter, but, you know, the members of Congress are home. They're listening to their constituents. Maybe some kind of compromise will move forward.
But nothing that's even being proposed would have
Sean, let
prevented.
me address those. Can I address those?
Yeah.
On Obamacare, people are discovering the 3.8% tax on their wages under the Medicare tax to pay for this. People are discovering there's a 40% tax on some of their health care insurance. All these taxes are beginning to hit. It is a train wreck. Just because some of the governors are being bribed into pulling the Medicaid package into their state by threats of what could virtually bankrupt them if they don't accept the federal money, doesn't mean that Obamacare is working. The second point is that on gun control, this president...
John, you've had most of the time.
This president announces a title. I didn't finish yet. The president announces a title and walks away from it. Where's his contribution to the kind of give and take that's necessary to solve a complicated thing like immigration?
Well, look. Right now, immigration is going in the right direction. You've got a bipartisan compromise, the Gang of Eight, Marco Rubio, John McCain, Lindsey Graham, Chuck Schumer, all segments of the party, both parties, conservative, progressive.
But nobody wants Obama to open his mouth on it. Nobody wants to hear from him.
He's been the leader. He said there has to be a path to citizenship.
Come on.
There has to be more border security.
Because he announces a title, he's a leader? Announcing a title is not leading. What is leading is bringing people in and mediating the differences.
Well, that is what's happening. There's a Senate compromise that is moving forward. You just wanted not to succeed. I think that's the problem.
Well, I don't.
No, I'm all for getting the border sealed. I'm all for stopping the flow of illegal immigrants into the country. And if it requires us to make some kind of a deal on people that are already here, if it's the right way, I'm very comfortable with that in the long run. But seal the borders, enforce the laws, and don't let Holder let people go just to make hay out of a sequester.
Well, it's moving in the right direction. I don't know what you're complaining about on the sequester. Look, the problem, the short-term problem.
Guns aren't going anywhere. His budget, dead on arrival 3 years in a row. Global warming, dead on arrival. Obamacare plummeting and is a disaster train wreck for 2014. You know, sequestration, apocalyptic fear, didn't work. What is he doing that's working?
And
look,
why didn't he
accept the credibility
it's
of
100 days. 100 days into the second term. Come on, guys. You know, this is
5 years and the economy's still
way to go. We got a long way to go.
Yeah.
And I think the president is moving on his major initiatives on immigration reform. He's moving in the right direction. On sequestration, something's going to happen there. You watch.
All right, we got to go. Guys, good to see you both.
People are discovering, the liberal press is acknowledging the president is a loser.
All right, thank you both. We'll leave it there.